That was like actually perfect. I don't.
Wow.
All right. Anyway.
You're perfect.
Oh, thank you. No, you are.
Aww.
You
no,
are.
You.
No, you.
No,
No,
you. No, you.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bangers, Bops, and Banter. This is episode number 61. And, yeah. Yeah. We have... Wait, no, I'm forgetting the intro. Oh, I'm one of your hosts, Joe. I'm here with my co-host, Brendan.
Hi, I'm the co-host, Brendan.
And we have a cool little show. No, wait, I'm like fiddling around with Discord right now. There we go. We have a cool little show coming up for you.
Yes, we do.
If this intro is anything to go by, it's gonna be amazing.
It's a great show just for you, so don't click away.
Yeah, for you. Specifically you, Jeremy.
We love you, Jeremy.
I see you sitting there. I really hope our channel blows up and someone named Jeremy just watches this episode of the podcast randomly.
Especially if they're like really high at the time.
Yes. Anyway. Let's go over what we have for the episode, which is we have some music and movie news.
We do.
Yeah, to talk about. And then after that, we are going to be discussing our question of the week, which is what is the best interlude? Or what is your favorite interlude? Or what that, yeah. That. Then we're going to be talking about the Halsey album, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, her newest record, produced by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. And after that, we're going to be discussing the classic Japanese film, Tampopo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get into some music news. First, in music news, Donda has debuted at number 1, and it's the biggest number 1 album of any record in 2021.
That makes sense. I mean, It's like easily one of the most anticipated records of the year.
Yeah. Him refusing to drop it multiple times definitely, I think, added to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of this is like probably what Kanye wanted.
Yeah.
He probably didn't need to do all the shit he did to get there, but it's probably what he wanted.
Yeah. So that's cool for Kanye. Moving on, well, I guess in related news, Drake released or leaked Kanye's diss against him. The song is called "Life of the Party," which featured a birth. I almost just said featured a birth. Oh my god! Which featured a verse from Andre 3000 that did not make it on the record. I believe the reason why it didn't make it on the record is because he curses in it. I mean that literally.
Andre.
I'm pretty sure that's why it didn't make it on the record, because Kanye doesn't like people cursing. But
hold up.
Interestingly, Andre's verse was one that was very appropriate to kind of the theme of the album. So he in his verse he apparently talks about his mother who passed away, which is it definitely is weird that it's on a track that's a diss track, and I don't know, maybe it was like it started as a different track and then evolved into a diss track, and they just didn't get his vocals off of it or something. But it's definitely not great to do that. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. It's because like they censor other verses on the record.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I don't know.
Well,
sorry, Andre. I'm sure it was a great verse. I haven't listened to it.
Brendan hasn't listened to Donda.
I did listen to Donda. I finally listened yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any thoughts?
Man, that I was not expecting the baby verse on Jail Part 2. That one threw me for a loop. There's a couple good tracks. I wish it was not almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
Honestly, cut half the tracks and you have a much better album.
Yeah, basically. It just feels very bloated.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Also, the last track going on for 11 minutes, not a great note to end on, I think. Just because the instrumental gets so boring. There's times where the production is really good, but then it's just there's just so much other bloat to the album, and it's tough to focus in on those the good moments.
Yeah.
Donda review. Thank you.
There we go. Now we don't have to put one out.
Yep.
Well, maybe I'll put out a Drake review. I don't want to, actually. It's the Drake album, I listened to the first half or so far. It tricks you. It fucks with you. The first two tracks I actually think are genuinely pretty good. And have some really nice production on them, and then it just after the first two, it just fucking dive bombs in quality.
Wow.
In the first verse on the third track, he has the lesbian bar.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, no. Man, it was holy shit. It sucked because I was I heard the first track and I was like, whoa, this is some really cool production. Maybe this will be good.
I need to listen to the Drake still, so.
Anyway, moving on in music news, Abba have announced their first album in 40 years.
Yeah, let's go.
Which is pretty awesome.
I don't know anybody who doesn't love Abba.
Abba are great. They're wonderful.
Yes.
Definitely at least some of the most iconic pop music.
That's true. They made 2 whole movies dedicated to ABBA music.
Yeah. It's pretty great.
Yes.
All right, and then I guess finally in music news, Lil Uzi Vert, during I guess a concert when he dove into a crowd, he you know how he has a diamond, a $24 million diamond, implanted on his forehead?
Uh-huh.
It got ripped off.
Oh.
He got it back. It wasn't he lost his diamond, but it's not on his head now. Because from diving in the crowd, yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know.
Weird. Wonder how that happened.
I'm to be completely honest, I feel maybe implanting a diamond on your head's not a great idea in general.
That's probably true.
Just
did he get hurt? Is he okay?
I think he's fine.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel having a $24 million diamond on your head is a good way to get shot. This is just you're gonna get shot and someone's gonna steal it. I don't know, man.
It would be a very difficult diamond to sell though, because everybody knows.
Yeah, that's true.
Whose diamond it is.
I mean, you can cut it, I guess.
Yeah.
The smaller diamonds.
Most of them to be less valuable, though.
Yeah. Right? I don't know. All right. Well, let's move on to movie news. Does this really count as... I mean, like, actually, who gives a fuck? Should I... I don't even know if I should...
Say the news, Joe.
Okay. Well, it's just... Patty Jenkins has, like, talked about, like, streaming services and why she thinks they're shit. Or not. Uh-huh. Or... She says that, like, movies on streaming services... they look like fake movies to her, which, like, sure. It's weird. Her full statement, it's very clickbaity if I just say that. Her full statement is like, I don't hear about them, I don't read about them, it's not working as a model for establishing legendary greatness, which I think is a much more fair critique, which is that it's hard to get, you know, your artistic vision out to a lot of people when you're confined to just good old Netflix algorithms. That being said, the first part of her statement, or her first part of her statement saying they look like fake movies to her is, like, I don't know, a bit weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. I probably shouldn't have included that, but whatever. Anyway, in more movie news, Miles Teller has tested positive for COVID-19. But this is after he refused to get vaccinated. So.
Wow, Miles Teller.
Yeah. He also, because of this, the movie he's working on has like the production's come to a halt. It forced them to halt production for nearly a month. So yeah, good job, Miles Teller.
PSA. Get vaccinated. Don't be like Miles Teller over here.
Yeah. And finally, movie news. Is this movie news? It's Morty. I can't do a. Oh fuck. I can't do a Rick impression very well. But there's a live action Rick and Morty series.
Finally.
This is apparently it's gonna be the season 5 finale. I can't. That's what you wanted, right? Live action Rick and Morty.
Yep.
Oh, I'm good. Wow. Okay, that's good. All right. With that, let's get into question of the week. This episode is a disaster.
Yeah.
We're doing we're trying. No.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get into the question of the week. This week's question is, what is your favorite interlude? Brendan, do you want to start, or do you want me to?
I can start. My favorite interlude is True Dat by Outkast off of their debut album, Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music. The reason this interlude is my favorite interlude is because it has a man. His name is Big Rube. He is not a member of Outkast. He is a man, and he's talking about what it means to be an outcast. And like the kind of the way it's posed, and I guess more within the context of the album, I think it very much gets at the core of what the group Outkast is about, and what broader things like hip hop and music in general are about. Whereas being an individual, being an outcast, being your own person, making your own decisions that aren't necessarily going with the group. Of course, there's a lot more going on than that in music, hip hop, and even within Outkast in general. But like, I think that the way it's posed is just, it's like quite well spoken, and it comes at a point in the album where it like really makes you think about the things being said. And I don't know. I really like the presentation and the execution of that interlude. Yeah.
Yeah. So, personally, my favorite interlude is "Please Remember" by Deaf Heaven, off of Sunbather. Which is
6.5 minutes long, but
yeah, okay, it's an interlude. All right.
Yes, I agree. It is more of an interlude.
It is basically a 2-part interlude. It kind of is the midpoint of the record. As it to me, it's mainly because of how well it matches the feel of the previous track. Like, the emotions that I get from Sunbather, like, transfer over into just this, like, what's the word for it? There's, like, this feeling of, like, loneliness and alienation present on this interlude, that it feels a very brooding and like seething in a way, especially for the first part, and it just comes off so like overwhelming and depressing, and then you get this like relief once you get into the second part, which is mainly just kind of reverbed guitar strumming mostly, that just it like matches the depressing feeling of the previous part of the interlude, but it feels more like emotionally like clear, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like whereas the previous part is just like overwhelming, the second part of the interlude is just like this clear vision of what he views his life to be at that point, and it's really depressing, and I love it. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also got some other responses.
Oh, can I actually? I just thought of like an honorable mention I want to give.
Yeah, sure.
Real quick. I want to shout out to "Stop Smoking, We Love You" by Car Seat Headrest off of Twin Fantasy, because I've been listening to Twin Fantasy so goddamn much. No, but like, I really like how the words spoken in that interlude are later used on High to Death. Like, I like High to Death more, but I think that interlude, it like, it sets up pitches that are it lobs some balls that are later hit out of the park in the album, which is I think it's one of an interlude that does that the best of like any interlude I've heard, except for maybe For Free. But For Free is more of like its own song, I think. Right, speaking of,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's one of our responses, For Free.
I believe so. We have a couple more before we get there. Yes. I guess we only have one.
Well, there's a couple. We have someone said Kim and Cookie, another Outkast interlude off of Stankonia.
It's an interesting choice, that interlude, but like, it's a fun interlude.
I quite enjoy it. It's kind of, I don't know. It just it very much has like the energy of the record. And it's really just, yeah, I don't know. It's full of like the same personality and feel that you get throughout the entire album. That just makes it such a wonderful listen.
Definitely. I think as far as like consistently being great at interludes, Outkast is up there in their interludes and skits and everything.
Definitely.
They're very great.
We have one response that says, "Does Humans count since it's basically more interlude than music?"
Yes, but it would even if it did count, it's not my favorite interlude. Oh my god.
It's not even close. It's not a very good interlude. And then we have a couple responses from our these are all from Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe likes interludes apparently.
So he said "For Free" by Kendrick Lamar, which like it's basically
like "For Free" and "For Sale" are basically their own songs. They really don't feel like interludes.
Maybe that's like the sign of a great interlude, is that it doesn't feel like an interlude.
Maybe.
He also said, "I'm not angry." He also said, "I'm not angry."
You can do it.
"I'm Not Angry Anymore" by Paramore. From their self-titled record, I believe.
Yes.
I haven't listened
interesting
to
choice.
I haven't listened to self-titled in a while. So I can't really comment on it that much. Definitely an interesting choice.
So like, I don't know. I feel like this is like a fine interlude. I just feel like there are other songs that do this better.
Yeah. It's it's interesting. I'm surprised this has a ton of plays on Spotify for an interlude compared to like the rest of the songs on the album. It's definitely like fun, I guess, but like I don't know. Definitely not one of my personal favorites. We also have, he says, "Burn One" by Brent Faiyaz.
I haven't heard this record.
Have not heard this either, so I can't really comment on it. He also mentions Frank's Track by Kanye West, which is pretty good. I like Frank's track. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, no. This is like a very good choice now that I'm like refreshing my memory. It's very like dreary and lonely sounding, but with Frank Ocean's like gorgeous vocals over it. I definitely really like that one. And he also mentioned "Solo" Reprise off of Blonde, which is definitely like, I can definitely see why someone would consider that an interlude.
Yeah. I'm not really that hot on it personally.
You're not. Solo's so good though. "Solo Reprise" with Andre. It's so good. Oh my god. His verse is.
It's good.
His verse is so excellent. Oh my god.
I don't know.
God damn. Like, Andre's flow and like the piano in the background and the way the beat changes in the middle. It's so good.
It's good. It's just not my favorite.
Damn.
Not even close.
Damn. Well, our final response is skit number 1 off of Late Registration, which is definitely another good interlude.
Yeah. All of the skits off of the first 2 Kanye records are really good.
Yeah, definitely. Skit number 1's definitely good. Broke Fi Broke. It's really nice.
For that one.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, I guess that's it for the question of the week. Next week's question, we have a bit of an in-depth one.
Yeah.
So this question is going to be, what song best represents each of the following emotions? So we have melancholy, rage, infatuation, hopelessness, and terror. Some pretty interesting range of emotions, I'd say. Definitely curious to see what people's responses will be. So yeah, feel free to leave your responses in the comments. No one's gonna do that, but feel free.
Nobody's ever answered a question in the comments. We try every time.
If you're listening right now, answer the question in the comments right now.
Okay.
Do it.
Somebody's gonna do it now just because we said nobody does it.
Yeah.
So that's cheating.
Yeah. Well, with that, we can move on to the album of the week, which is If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power by Halsey.
Halsey?
Yeah.
Is the girl.
She make music. Yeah, Halsey, I don't know if she's like a meme on our channel. She's not a meme.
She's not like a meme. We just... Joe really likes Halsey.
I have like a weird enjoyment of Halsey, and it's not like I think a lot of her music is like amazing, but forever she has like certain songs that I just like fucking love. Without Me, I absolutely adore that track. Love it so much. I don't know why. If you ask me why, I have no fucking clue. Same thing goes with a lot of, like, her first album I actually think is pretty good. It's a little bit underrated, if I'm being honest.
Badlands?
Yeah.
Badlands is not bad. It's got pretty good production.
Yeah. There's some like really there's some cool tracks on there. I like Gasoline quite a bit. You got Colors is really nice. Drive is cool. Yeah, I don't know. I think her first record's pretty good. Hopeless Fountain Kingdom is not great, but
it's kind of boring.
Everyone has their Pablo Honey of their career. But yeah, I guess that brings us to her newest record, If I Can't Have Love, I Want Power, which is pretty unique in her discography. I was thinking filmography. It's like, that's not right. And it's pretty unique because it is produced by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross of Nine Inch Nails, who are also, I mean, honestly, at this point, they're probably better known for their soundtrack work.
Yes.
Making definitely some of the best soundtracks of the past decade. Stuff like The Social Network, the Soul soundtrack. I'm trying to remember what else they've done.
A lot.
Yeah, they've done a lot. And they definitely have like a certain like style and sound, and that comes through on this record, I think, quite clearly. Depending on the song, admittedly, most the synth heavy tracks, it's like very clear to me, where it's like I listen to them and like that's a Nine Inch Nails synth, like 100%. The ones that stand out the most are like I'm Not a Woman, I'm a God, like that song. I think also Girl is a Gun. Yeah.
I want you to know you just mentioned my two favorite tracks off this album.
Yeah, that's fair, because those are also probably my two favorites as well. Because the more danceable this album gets, the better it gets.
Yes.
I have to say. The more fast-paced, fun, and energetic that it is, the production begins to shine through more and more. Because there's some stuff that's like acoustic on here.
Yeah, it gets really slow and boring at points.
And it's mainly that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross production. It just sounds, it definitely, again, it sounds not very Nine Inch Nails, but because it's in this like pop, within this like pop shell, I guess is how I describe it. It becomes so much more entertaining. It like elevates what would otherwise be just probably not super interesting pop tracks. Especially like I mean their synths are very unique, and just the way that they just like bounce their synths sound very bouncy. Is how I describe it. But like they're bouncy, but they still have like texture to them, if you know what I mean. Like they still almost sound like they're like hinting at like a guitar or something like that. Does anything I said make sense?
Sort of. I definitely. Yes, I agree. When the production turns up, this album also turns up. And like that's honestly kind of necessary, because I feel like without good production, Halsey is boring. She's really not that interesting to listen to. Her lyricism is okay, I guess.
It's I think it's improved, I'd say.
Okay, it's definitely better than it was back on like Badlands. But I don't know. She's not like.
She's not. She's no Trent Reznor. It's like trying to think of someone.
She doesn't want to feel you from the inside, you know. As we all know, that's what Trent Reznor wants.
He wants to fuck you like an animal.
An animal. Yep.
Yeah. That's what that song is about.
That's exactly what it's about.
It's about sex.
Take that song at face value. Don't look into it.
Don't think about it any, like, with it. And don't even, like, use an ounce of brain power to think about it. You know?
No, especially you should really take that song out of the context of the album and just play it for your friends and be like, wow, look at fucking Nine Inch Nails. Yeah. Does anybody listen to this shit? Like,
I was gonna say play it during sex. It'll be really.
Oh cool. Yeah. That works too. Road trips as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then play Eraser right after. It'll be really funny.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. Fuck. We should talk about Downward Spiral.
We were going to at one point. I think that was with the old. I think we have. Do we have an old review of it? We might. I think we did one for Downward Spiral.
Maybe we did. I don't remember.
Or maybe we were going to.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know.
We're just thinking about Downward Spiral now.
Yeah, we got distracted by cool, sexy Trent Reznor. Oh shit! I was gonna mention something that's like very unrelated.
What?
But the complete tangent. But when I believe when like the parental advisory board was like being created, or when those like hearings were happening in court, one of the example songs they used to show that like songs are having, they're gonna have a bad influence on kids was is it Big Man with a Gun? Is that this track name?
Mm-hmm.
The one where he says he's gonna come on you. Which is really interesting because contextually, it's like the like peak of I'd say it's like the peak of, or the protagonist. I guess it's the protagonist. It's not like explicitly Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
But it's like the peak of the protagonist's like descent essentially. Before he like realizes he has to like get out, but it's like too late, if that makes sense. Like it's when he's like just fully in, or not him being fully in, but it's when what's his name, Mr. Self-Destruct is like fully taken over him basically.
Yep.
And it's just it's very interesting that they use that when it's contextually it's such a low point for the protagonist in the record. It's like supposed to be really fucked up, and you're supposed to view it as being really fucked up.
Context is important, kids.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Halsey.
Halsey. So. Yeah.
Yeah. This record is. I honestly enjoyed this record. Like I don't. There's nothing on the record that I think is like explicitly bad or anything.
No.
I think there's stuff that's boring, like Darling, for example, is just. It's an acoustic ballad. It's fine. It's pretty boring. But
honestly, like the stretch between Girls a Gun and Honey, I think is really just not great.
I like You Asked for This.
You Asked for This ain't bad. It's kind of long. I don't know.
It is. It just has like the production's very good on it, I think.
Mm-hmm. Darling and 1121 are probably like my least favorite tracks, though.
Okay, that's fair. I don't mind 1121. I wish more happened in it because I think the production's pretty interesting. Like the synths present again have like.
There's just like not enough there.
Yeah,
to really
it needs more
onto.
of a climax or something going on. And then Honey just goes into like almost pop punky direction.
Yeah.
And it's pretty fun. It's very bass heavy. Makes it very like groovy, which I like. Yeah, I'd say Whispers I also don't really care for.
Yeah, the more like acoustic tracks, Whispers and Yaberne, like those tracks.
Yaberne.
Yaberne.
Do you think it's about Bernie Sanders?
I don't think so.
Damn.
Yeah, those tracks do tend to be pretty boring. One thing is that like this album just like keeps flip-flopping back and forth between like those kinds of slow tracks and the more dancey or punky tracks. Which I don't know why. I wish it was more consistent.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do wish this just stuck to like the club bangers.
Yeah, I mean that's what Halsey is known for. Like Graveyard or Control. No, I mean Control isn't really a club banger, but I don't know. Like Halsey isn't out here making, or Closer. Closer is by far her biggest song with the Chainsmokers, right?
Yeah.
She's not really out here known for her soft ballads. So yeah, I don't know. And you can already tell like the popularity of this album just looking at the tracks and their plays on Spotify. The more fun stuff tends to be much higher played.
Yeah.
Which,
It's definitely interesting. This album seems to just not have been doing very well in its first couple of weeks.
Honestly, I didn't even know Halsey was coming out with an album until it came out. So
that's definitely part of it. There wasn't like a big lead single or anything.
No. There was "I'm Not a Woman, I'm a God." I think as a single, but that was like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a bit unfortunate because I do think this has some for best material on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as I said, "I'm Not a Woman, I'm a God" I think is fantastic. And definitely, I just feel like this record is definitely a much more interesting one than her previous two, at least.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's mainly production because it feels much more unique than some of her previous stuff.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And I think...
Sorry.
Again, the production just kind of holds this record up. And I feel like if it was not for that, this would probably be like a 5 out of 10 for me or something. Like, I wouldn't care much for it. But that production, like, when it is really good, it's really good. So...
Yeah. You want to give a score?
A score? Sure. For me, honestly, it's like a 7. Like, kind of in that, like, 6.5, 7 range, but, like, I'm leaning more towards a 7.
Okay.
Because I don't mind, like, the more boring tracks, I just don't mind. I think a lot of them just feel, they're boring, but, like, they often are just very short and don't really get in the way of the album experience, I find. And... The bangers are great. So yeah, I enjoy it.
Interesting. Okay. I'm at like a 5 on this album.
Okay.
I don't hate it. There's nothing that's really bad here. It just, like we said, it kind of gets boring at points. But like the high points I don't find to be that high personally.
Ooh.
There's definitely like a song or two that are pretty good, but like and the direction she went in with the production is more interesting than previous records. I just wish it was like executed better for the most part. And like, who knows, maybe next time Halsey will get me. Maybe next time.
She'll get you next time.
She'll get me next time. Better luck next time, Halsey. Not good enough.
I see. I am still the only resident Halsey stan.
That's true. I mean, I don't know. I feel like if I was a normal person, I would like hate this record. I don't know. It's not bad. I don't feel like people would actually hate this.
If I was a normal person, I'd hate this record.
If I was any normal person, Halsey would suck.
Oh.
No, Halsey. I'm sure you're again. Was it Halsey who was dating G-Eazy?
Yeah.
Who's that? Yeah, it was. Okay.
That's what the song "Without Me" is about. It's about their relationship.
Oh. Good for them.
I'm pretty sure there's on her SNL performance of it. There's like a bunch of, she was like on stage. She was like in a room. There's a bunch of writing on the wall, and I think on the wall there's like stuff saying like he cheated or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which, considering the song's about G-Eazy, well, actually, it's not surprising because
G-Eazy cheated.
He's a douchebag. I don't know, like, I have no clue if he's like a good or bad person, but like he comes off like a douchebag in his music.
I mean, if he did in fact cheat, that would indicate that he is not a good person.
Oh, shoutouts!
Good people don't cheat.
Yeah, shoutouts to his really good and cool cover of Lazarus.
Oh,
very, very definitely good and appropriate cover.
No, we gotta get Jason on and then do a review of that.
He will like freak out. He'll have an aneurysm. Yeah. As for
right.
that, were you gonna say something or?
No, yeah, I was also just gonna transition into the movie. Tampopo, directed by Juzo Itami, right?
I think so.
I'm doing that from memory. I hope I got the director's name right. Juzo Itami, yeah, let's go.
So yeah, Tampopo. The tagline is it's the first Japanese noodle western. Pretty accurate. This is like it has a western feel very much.
Yeah, so it like plays into a lot of western tropes.
Yeah.
It's not like a strictly a western, but it does play into the tropes. A lot of the time. And
spoilers for Tampopo.
Spoilers for Tampopo.
This film is wonderful.
Excuse me.
Nice.
It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely wonderful. The way in which the film is structured is really interesting because you have the main like through line of basically these two truck drivers trying to help out this woman make her
ramen shop the best in town.
Yeah. And so they are they're helping. Yep. They're helping her do that. And then in between like the plot, like interspersed, there are like they're almost like skits in a way.
Yeah, they really are.
In the middle. And they're all linked by like food essentially.
This movie is like food porn.
Yeah, it's food porn.
It made me so hungry watching it.
It's food porn, like literally and figuratively.
Yes, there is a scene that is food porn, like porn.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like a lot of it is just about like the pleasure that people get out of food.
Yeah,
and specifically the like porn, like actual porn scene. It's like it's very much making that comparison between like literal sex and having and eating like food.
Yeah.
Which is it's interesting and weird and wonderful.
Like this movie is weird because like on the surface it's like haha funny movie about ramen shop, right? Yeah. But it's also I guess like I don't know if this is the right word, but like recontextualizing how we think about food and like the role it plays in our lives.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, there's one scene in particular, the one where there's the group of women who are learning how to eat.
Yes.
Like they do in I forget specifically where, in like Western nations, I guess.
So no, they're trying to eat. They're in Japan, but there's a Western dude in the room next to them, just eating some spaghetti, right? Because they're trying to learn how to eat in the West.
Yeah,
when they go out into the world.
And the teacher or instructor is like teaching them, you can't make any noise. You take just a couple strands of spaghetti, put it on your fork, and the dude, the fucking businessman Western guy is just slurping his spaghetti up.
He's a vacuum.
He's a vacuum. Just does not care, making as much noise as possible. I think it's very interesting because I think that scene is sort of like there's like a couple other scenes like that where someone who is perceived as being high class or fancy is like almost like put in their place in a way, if that makes sense. I think to some extent it's like almost denouncing like elitism when it comes to food.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess sort of at the end of the day, we all have to eat, no matter how much money you make.
Yeah.
And there's even the difference, sort of between like the fancy ramen and like the ramen bars. that
yeah.
the movie goes through.
Yeah.
But how even the ramen bar can have the best ramen in town.
Yeah.
Like Tampopo's ramen bar.
Yeah.
Really, like, I just wanted some ramen at the end of this film.
I did too. There's another scene I believe in the same
with all the people ordering?
Yeah, with all the people ordering. That was
that's right before the spaghetti dude.
Yeah, that was really interesting because I like missed part of it. I wanted to go back and I just forgot to go back to rewatch it. Because what I got was like the other businessmen who, or most of there's one guy who's being like mistreated. He seems to be like a secretary or something. Yeah.
So there's one dude who's definitely like lower than all the other dudes. They sit down and they look at the menu. The menu is in French. They all speak Japanese, and it seems to be like they don't know how to read the menu. So like one dude orders sole, and has some side and a beer, and everybody else at the table says same as him, except for the secretary dude who was like starts spouting out all this like fancy language and like has knowledge of French cuisine, like this very specific restaurant in Paris, and like asks for a specific wine and stuff like that. And he's just clowning on these dudes.
It's definitely, I think definitely that like kind of plays into like the like perceived like class of food, or how I think like societally we expect people of lower class to not like quote unquote like know a lot about like quote unquote good food.
Yeah,
and stuff.
There's definitely like high class dining and lower class dining. Perceived.
And I really like just the film kind of like taking that apart. I want to ask, this is a different part of the film. What did you make of the is he part of like the mafia or something?
The guy in the white
who gets
suit?
Shot.
The guy in the white suit.
Yeah, because he's present pretty consistently. He's like, out of like the skits, he's like a through line through a lot of them. He also opens
him and his
the movie.
mistress.
Yeah, he opens the movie by yelling at you to not make noise in the theater, which is really wonderful, and tells you to not open like bags of chips that crinkle real loud. As soon as someone does that before, like quote unquote, before the film starts, and he just walks up to them and is like, "I will fucking murder you if you make noise when the film is running." It's wonderful.
So man in the white suit, I don't know what his story is. I don't think it particularly matters. It's definitely never explained. He just like shows up. His first scene, so he has that first scene at the very beginning of the film, then he has the sexy food time scene, then he has the oyster scene, and then he gets shot. And we don't even get to see how he gets shot. It's just he's shot, he's dying, and then while he dies, he starts talking about food.
It's interesting actually, because the oyster scene, to me, the oyster scene is really interesting because the white suit guy cuts, or he asks for a live oyster from a woman who's like fishing for them. Or gathering them, and like he cuts himself on the oyster, and then he then eats it out of the woman's hand, but he gets like blood on his like lip and stuff, and then she starts like licking the blood off of his face, which is very, I feel like the film is like making a connection between the like almost like thrill of eating something that is alive, like actually alive. Oysters are alive. And like eating, or like it's making a connection between that and I guess like it like injuring yourself or finding pleasure out of like the blood and like self harm, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm missing something here. And I think
I took that scene differently. I can understand your like the direction you're going in with like the thrill of eating something alive.
Yeah. It's sort of like a similar thrill to like putting yourself in a dangerous situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
I initially took it like a different way, where it's like the freshness of the food is analogous to like the freshness of their, I guess, love connection, because they start like kissing, making out as she's licking the blood off of him.
Okay, interesting. It's definitely not how I took it.
I think that scene, that's like one of the more up to interpretation scenes in the film.
Yeah.
Honestly, because like at first when I saw it, I did not understand. I thought like when they first started like making out and it was like very much sexual tension, I was like, it's just like a continuation of the food porn scene. But I definitely think it's meant to be different.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Like a lot of like the like skits in between are definitely, I feel like, imply a lot about like the message of the film, whereas the main story is like the main story feels far more focused, basically.
Yeah.
What do you make of the old woman molesting the food at the supermarket?
I didn't get that at all. That was
so funny.
It was very funny. No clue what she was doing.
That was hilarious. One of the most insane things I've ever seen in a movie. Just like absolute psychopath. just like massaging and destroying food. For
when she gets to the pastry station, oh my god, chaos. Absolute chaos.
Amazing.
Like it was very funny. I have no idea what the meaning behind it is.
Yeah. There's also the one where there's two scam artists trying to scam each other, basically.
Yeah.
Which is pretty entertaining. I literally thought it was just gonna be, because the way it's set up is it's just like this guy scamming a professor.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's gonna get scammed or something, or something's gonna happen. He's gonna find out or something, or like the professor already knows it. And it turns out the professor was also a scammer who's trying to steal his fucking the other guy's like wallet, basically. Yeah.
What I thought about that one is it's just connected to the one that follows that, where like when he gets arrested, he's like, oh, but just one more bite, you know? And then the next one is the guy going home to his wife and is like, hey, cook dinner.
That was really funny.
That one is just like very depressing at the end, and then it just transitions back to the main story with like a circle transition.
That was so, oh my god.
The transitions in this film, some like the really harsh ones are just really funny.
Yeah. So basically a guy like runs home to his dying wife and he's like yelling at her to stay awake and stay with him, and he yells at her to make dinner. Or like he's like trying to get her to do anything, and he just
this woman's like dying. She's just laying down in her bed, like can barely open her eyes. He yells at her to make dinner, and then she just like gets up and does it, and she's like barely alive the entire time.
Yeah. Makes dinner, finishes it, serves it, and then just collapses and is dead. Very interesting. I feel
very sad. Like that was it was sad, but also just like very ridiculous at the same time.
Yeah. I feel like to some extent it's like kind of talking about like the power of food. Maybe.
I was thinking more like how food ties family together.
That's fair.
Like any good Italian film would have,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's right. Tampopo is an Italian film. It's about noodles.
It is
cowboys, and a west. Yeah. Spaghetti western. Right here.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's it for the skits. At least the ones that I remember.
Yeah, we might have missed one, but I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I guess that leads us to the main plot of the movie, which is
well, I guess there's technically the one in the beginning when the dude's reading the book about the dude trying to save her ramen. But that's more just I feel like it's more just like an intro.
That's really interesting. Yeah, it is like an intro sort of. That was wonderful.
Yes.
Really
very funny as well.
Yeah. I think the main plot though in general is I guess very interesting, just the way the way in which everything progresses. What's the word for it? It feels like the main story is mainly like I guess talking about I don't know, you fucking talk.
So the main story, these two truck drivers, they get to this ramen stop. The ramen's not great. The woman behind the counter, her name is Tampopo. She doesn't really know how to make ramen. She's been like doing her best, but her best isn't good enough. So these two boys, they agree to help her out, make her a better ramen maker, and then she Rocky style trains up to become the best ramen in all of the ramen land. And we meet a colorful cast of characters along the way. There's Goro and Gun, the truck drivers. Yeah. There's Shohei, a driver of a man that they saved from choking by helping force a vacuum down his throat instead of just doing the Heimlich maneuver.
Yeah.
Whatever works, There is Pisken, a contractor who fights with Goro, and then they become best buds for life. Because that's what happens when you fight people. You become friends. And also Sensei, a master ramen maker, retired.
Yeah, and also homeless?
He's homeless. And he has a whole colorful cast of homeless people. Yeah. Dude, that montage where that one homeless dude makes that rice omelet, oh my god.
Wonderful.
Oh, that omelet looks so good. His technique was incredible.
Yeah. I think that scene in particular sort of plays into like the class angle of food. How like these people who are homeless just like
they have that refined taste.
Yeah, they just know like everything about how to make food and how to make it like really well. And they know like there's they have like different types of sake, I believe.
Yeah.
That they've just like they've combined and made their own like mix. And they just like they know everything. Or they get get meals that have been like thrown away or placed out in the trash, and like they know, and they just like talk about them like they're experts on them.
Well, they are experts.
They are,
yeah. Just all this crowd of homeless people just living in a park.
Yeah.
It's pretty much at the end of the movie. Tampopo does open her shop, and there's lines out the door. Everybody loves her ramen. Yeah. She learned how to cook. That was an important step. She didn't know that about that one for a long time. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The main story is like it's just kind of like fun. It's a fun little romp. It's like I said, it's very much like Rocky style.
Yeah.
Training, becoming the best. There are some Western tropes thrown in as well. Yeah, it's all, I don't know. All around, this is just like a really fun movie.
Yeah. It's one of the best comedies I've ever seen, honestly.
Definitely.
It's just like, yeah, I don't know, super wonderful.
And it's like it's definitely trying to be funny, but it's not like forcing jokes down your throat necessarily. It
feels like the humor comes out of the situations the characters are in, rather than like specific jokes.
Yeah, this kind of comedy feels different than like an Airplane kind of comedy, if that makes sense.
This feels very natural, like it's part of the story. Yeah. And
even then, it's still like very ridiculous and like goofy a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, it's great because of that. There are like heartfelt moments as well. You know, it's got that excuse me, that more emotional side. It's got a lot of food. I'll say this again. This movie just made me hungry.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so much good food. I want to go to Japan and eat ramen.
Yeah.
Looks so good. So yeah. Don't watch on an empty stomach. Also, this is probably like the best food movie I think I've ever seen.
Brendan, we watched Food Fight. Come on.
We did watch Food Fight. They don't really eat food in Food Fight. They just are food.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
But yeah, as far as like food-oriented movies go, definitely the best one I've seen. Ignoring Food Fight, of course.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah.
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 I mean, I don't know. The only like bad thing I have to say about this is occasionally I feel like the skits veer a little bit too far off the main story, and it feels like a little bit disconnected sometimes. But I mean,
might be like a thing that irons itself out on a rewatch.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just have very minor complaints.
This is one that I think if I rewatch it, it will become a 10.
Probably.
For now, I'm at a 9. Personally, the absolutely wonderful film. Just incredible movie. It's my favorite Western I've seen. So it is actually. I haven't seen like the good, the bad,
that's
the
fair.
ugly or anything.
Yeah. I'm also at a 9. This is one of my favorite Westerns. There are some Westerns I like more.
Like Food Fight.
Food Fight is not a Western. I mean, it like almost has some tropes, I guess.
Don't dare me to write an essay on why Food Fight is a Western.
You could make the argument that Food Fight is a Western, but like...
I could make the argument that Food Fight's a war film.
Food Fight is a war film.
Ah, shit. The list keeps getting bigger and bigger.
But yeah. Would highly recommend Tampopo. Yes. Great film.
Wonderful film. Don't watch it with your parents. But do watch it.
There's like one scene when the dude orders room service, just skip ahead like 2 minutes. Okay? Then you're good. It was really I didn't know that there was titty in this movie when I chose it.
Oh, there's 2 scenes like that. There's another one in the same room. That's them passing the egg.
The egg. Well, the egg is is there titty? Also, the film. Can we talk about how the film ends? Hold up, the credits scene. The zoom in on the baby sucking
Yes.
the nipple.
Yeah.
Food for
I think
thought,
it's like,
you know?
I mean, it's definitely like implying. I feel like it's definitely, kind of reinforcing that idea, or like it's like showing the connection between like food and pleasure in a way.
Oh, I was thinking more of like food and life.
Oh, okay. That's because I was like, my thoughts are that it sort of plays into like, I mean, I guess that's true. It plays into this idea that like from an early age we're like conditioned to view food as well as like people in like a similar way, where we both get pleasure from like, you know, relationships or sex in some cases.
Okay. Interesting. I was kind of thinking like, you know, from an early age we eat and we have to sustain on that eat, the food. Kind of like coming full circle, I guess. But yeah, there is titty in this film. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I kept the egg passing scene. I was like, there's only one way this ends, and it is with one or both of you covered in egg.
All right. Well, that's it for Tampopo.
Yeah. Great film.
Amazing film. Would highly recommend. Yeah. I don't know. I guess with that we'll wrap up. Next week, question of the week, as I mentioned before, is what song best represents each of the following emotions. So it is a different song for each emotion. So melancholy, rage, infatuation, hopelessness, and terror. And then we got a movie and an album.
The album for next week is going to be Fully Completely by The Tragically Hip. Classic 1987? 92? Wait,
92.
Hold up. 92.
Pretty sure it's 92.
It is 92. 87 is their debut. I was wrong. Blah. So yeah, classic album right there. It should be fun to check out.
Yeah.
And the movie for next week is going to be, we said
the Do the Right Thing.
Yeah, Do the Right Thing
by Spike Lee.
Yeah. 1989 film.
Yeah. I think this is probably what most people would consider Spike Lee's best. So, yeah.
All right. Well, tune in next week. Do you have anything more you want to say, Joe?
No. Eat food. Don't starve. You know, that can be difficult under our shitty capitalist system, but try your best.
Ooh, okay. Joe, picture this. Imagine Tampopo with elements of Fight Club.
And so, like, what would that be?
Imagine, okay, like instead of like Fight Club, it's like Food Club, you know?
Well, I'm thinking, because, like, who is it? Wait, I gotta get it, the name. So is Goro, like, a fiction of Tampopo's imagination? Like, is he like he's like Tyler Durden, right?
Yeah.
Except in this film, Goro is like a cool guy. And
well, Tyler Durden's also like a cool guy who just
no. He
just happens to start an anti-capitalist regime. Spoilers for Fight Club, by the way.
like sort of. It's interesting. Or well, I don't know. Tyler Durden. Yeah, no, he's not really a cool guy.
Okay.
He is supposed to like Tyler Durden's kind of supposed to be like the idealized version, or what men idealize, like the like ultimate like masculine.
Yes.
Male to be.
He is a commentary on toxic masculinity.
But also, well, I don't know if his regime is necessarily like anti-capitalist.
It is very much anti-capitalist.
I would argue it's just fascist.
No,
it is, or maybe not fascist,
because they specifically target the working class to join the regime.
Yeah, that's what fascism does. I'd argue it's anti-consumerist, but
yeah,
or so what? It's basically the regime's rejection of consumerism but in its totality in the way it approaches, the people who are part of it. They ultimately, it's two sides of the same coin.
Yes. No. The point of Fight Club is not that like this regime is great. It is you should be condemning Tyler Durden and his regime.
Yeah. No. But it's because they become the same like faceless, nameless.
Yes.
The people that they're angry at consumerism for creating.
Yes. The movie does make the point that they're hypocritical. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why I'd argue it's fascist is because that specifically is what fascism does to people that are part of its movements, is that they are generally young men who are frustrated and fed up with their situation in life, and as a result turn to these extremist ideas, basically.
Still, as it's presented in the movie, they have anarchist tendencies and anti-capitalist tendencies.
They do not have anarchist tendencies. They are a totalitarian. They're like a cult.
So like in their place in the world at large, they are though.
They're terrorists. They're not. I wouldn't consider that a necessary trait of anarchists.
I would,
but also
considering the fact that they. So I would say, well,
they're
okay. They want to bring down the current regime.
Yeah, but I guess they're
not anarchists. There was the name for it.
Insurgent.
Yeah,
they're an insurgent force.
There's like a better word I'm looking for. They're revolutionaries. I don't know.
Yeah, they're sort of revolutionaries. Sort of. I'd argue Fight Club is more targeted against fascism than it is against like totalitarian versions of anti-capitalist movements.
That's fair.
Because the way in which the members are indoctrinated into the essentially cult is not through it's partially through a rejection, or I'd say it's more so a rejection of society and the ways or I guess the values of society at the time, rather than a rejection of capitalism in itself.
That's interesting, because like in my interpretation, they're inducted because they are striving for becoming essentially the perfect man and being Tyler Durden.
Yeah, in their eyes, but to me,
but that doesn't seem like a rejection of society to me, at least.
The way that Tyler Durden talks about a lot of things is a rejection
that is true.
of society.
Yeah.
Yeah, like specifically, like things like the idea, like the ideas of beauty standards, are a lot of like the like sexist stuff he says throughout the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like plays into that, I feel. Anyway, Thanks for listening to us talk about Fight Club. Tune in next week.
Fight Club video essay at the end of that one.
Yeah.
All right. Good night.
Yeah, good night.